Hey, this is Angelica, and we are back with another episode of the Next One Up podcast. I'm really excited about today's guest. He's basically kind of like family, but he is definitely somebody who I've known for a really long time. He's actually my cousin's cousin. So I've known him for a really good minute. But today's guest is actually John Roper, aka Kid. I know him as Kid. And I'm going to ask you where you got your name from, your nickname from.
That's a good
But
story. It's a
John
real quick
Roper,
story. Mhm.
I appreciate you coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am very good. So let's get into it.
Finally, finally.
Finally, finally, we were talking about how long it's taken us to sit down and talk, and yeah, we've been needing to do this for a minute. So that's why I'm like really excited about this episode because it's kind of been a long time coming. You were actually, I say this to everybody, like I think of so many people when I'm thinking about who I want to interview, but you were definitely one of the first people that I thought of. Knowing your history
hmm
and
hmm
you being from Hoke County and being a quite a figure in Hoke County, so you were definitely
Yeah.
one of the first people that I thought of. So when did you start your sports journey and what sports did you play?
Well, I started when I was 7, playing t-ball down at Turlington. Turlington? What we call J.W. Turlington.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, we started with t-ball, and I took a love. I took right to the baseball or t-ball, baseball, and just continued from there. We always played at home, around the hood where, like you said, Robin Heights, man, we were always doing t-ball, baseball, basketball, something every single day. It didn't matter how hot it was, we were always outside. So, sports was just a thing to do around the hood.
Mm-hmm. Now, is baseball the only sport you played, or
Mhm.
did you play any other sport?
Now, I played, again, just pick up games. We played basketball. There was times when we'd play basketball, baseball, and football on the same day, every day. You spend an hour on a baseball diamond hitting the ball, then you go play 21, and then you might go play tackle the man with the football. It
Mm-hmm.
was an everyday thing if you got enough people. And then if you didn't have enough people, you figure out the game you can play with just 4 or 5 people. But we did
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Today the kids don't go outside as much. We were outside all the time doing different variations of all three of those sports, the three major sports: baseball, basketball, and football.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So what inspired you to start playing sports? I know you said you started playing t-ball, but did you
Mhm.
have like any influences or anybody pushing you to play sports at all?
Now, when I think once I moved to Robin Heights, that's where I just got in all those guys there. Robin Heights, as you know, was full of great athletes. Mike Morrissey, Barry Fellows, Andre Walker, Pat Morrissey. A lot of the top guys on the Hope County high school teams were from the Robin Heights area. And I think once I moved there from Clay Hill, um, I just got involved with sports because a lot of those guys were, and it just kind of took off from there.
Gotcha.
You know.
Now, you were talking about some of the people that, inspired you. Do you have who were like back then, who were your sports influencers?
Um, I didn't really have a lot. I just
Mm,
just really pretty much God put baseball in front of me.
mm,
You think it's starting at 7 years old playing t-ball. We played t-ball from 7 and 9. It just was my mom. My mom, wanted me to play sports, and that's really, if you go that far back, all I can think of, it was my mother that actually put me there to play t-ball with Mr. June Peterkin. And that's where it all began. And then after that, you start meeting people, meeting friends, and going from there. So if you're going back to, when I really think about it, it's a good question. I never really thought about it that far back. Like, who did influence me as a 7-year-old to play
mhm,
t-ball? It was just my mom signing me up, really. And
mm.
then after that, you start meeting people and getting influenced to move forward in the game. You
Gotcha.
know.
So you talked about, when you started. So let's talk about like the evolution of you playing baseball. Like where, I mean, you started playing 7 years old.
Mhm.
I'm assuming you played on some sports teams and then you played on, the state champ
Yeah,
team, Hope
1990. Yeah.
County, Hope County
Well,
High School.
yeah. Another thing. Again, now, since I enjoyed t-ball so much, it led me to baseball. And I remember some of my friends walking down the street, headed to the ballpark. We call it the ballpark, to sign up for baseball. And I remember, I can't tell you which guy it was. He said, "You should come sign up. You throw a lot." All I do is throw rocks and throw and throw and throw. That's all I ever did was throw. So I went down there with them to sign up for baseball, and and here I am. I signed up. I think that was we were 10 at that time. So you go from t-ball to little league, which is 10 to 12, and that's when I began pitching. So just rolling with those guys. Play sports.
So did you always play pitcher? Did you ever play any other positions?
Mainly pitching. Like when you do something like that, they take you through different positions when you're trying out. And I remember, I want to say it was Mr. Walter Blue that was on one knee, and I was throwing to him. I was pitching to him because he had one of the stations. I think he was a coach at the time. And he said, "Roper, this is funny." He said, "I'm 10 years old. This is close to the conversation I can get." He said, "You ever pitched before?" I said, "No, but I throw a lot of rocks." So it's just country, you know what I mean? I was just telling the truth, the 10-year-old telling the truth at the time. And from that moment on, I just became a power pitcher early on in my career. And I just kind of, because I did well at it, I kept doing it.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about high school. Now, playing on a state championship team. Now, were y'all always that good? Or did it literally take you to, because it was your senior year when y'all won the state championship? Yeah. So did y'all get close throughout the year?
We started that journey at Upchurch in 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
The principal, actually, I saw yesterday downtown, Mr. Linwood Hoffman, kind of took us under his wing, and he kind of groomed us a little bit, along with a whole bunch of other people. Elgin Blue was part of it. Clayton Singh. I don't want to name names, so somebody ain't name my name. There's a whole bunch of people involved. But when we got together, Derek Graham, Moochie, Peanut, Bill Upchurch, Jeff Huffman, Jason Huffman, when all of us guys started playing together in the 7th and 8th grade, we were good. We were individually good, and we put together some good teams. And then we just progressively got better as we moved up to the high school level. Mm-hmm. And I remember the 8th grade when Coach Critcher came to Upchurch to try to talk me into playing JV ball. Coach Brigman tried to talk me into playing freshman baseball. So they both had their own reasons why I should play at the level. So I started getting confused, and I'm like, oh man, what's happening here? I'm not that good. I was just out there having fun, mm-hmm. and just apparently was good at it. Mm-hmm. I was good at having fun pitching.
So how was that winning the state championship? Like, do you think that it was I'm imagining it was a big deal back then, but like, what was that journey like?
Well, we never, again, I think the key to us winning, it was just, we had no idea what we were doing. Mm. We knew that well, I ain't gonna lie. Hold on. We were cocky. Once we realized that we were tearing through the league, and not to mention, so our sophomore year, we had a decent season, and we kind of was split up. Our junior year, we were even more split up. Our senior year, all those guys, Jeff Huffman, Bill Upchurch, Derek Graham, my best friend, my brother from another, Moochie, Peanut, rest in peace, Robert Carpenter, my cousin, rest in peace. When all of us, we kind of split up and then got together our senior year, we were ranked in the nation 12th. Mm. We were ranked by USA Today 12th in the nation. And and still really, we like, why? Why are we ranked? We had 4 guys that threw 90 miles an hour. We were so confident. We were cocky. We were confident. We had like the cockiness. It was a little bit of both, and we could play, and it showed. So, but we had no idea we'd win the state championship. We just know that we were going to give it all our best. Coach Critcher was a great mentor, a great coach, a great leader, man. Someone that we respected just respected all day long, every day. He led us. to that championship, man, with respect. It was just a great time. But if you would have asked us if we were going to win this North Carolina state championship, we would have told, man, we're just out here playing baseball. As a matter of fact, when we started getting that recognition by USA Today, and once we hit USA Today, it was over. You know, there were scouts saying, I didn't even know this place existed. Rayford. So when Moochie and I got drafted, they gave us crap all the time about Rayford. Where's that at? Instead of one sign, one stoplight, and all this and all that, you know, always joking about Rayford, North Carolina. So, but it was a great experience, man, to bring that championship home. It's funny you ask. I lost my state championship ring probably in 1991.
What?
Yes.
How did you do that?
No telling. And it was after pro ball. Probably came home playing, dropped it somewhere. Russell Swain found it later on. He returned it to me. He said, wow. He found it somewhere and returned it to me after about 20 years of being lost. Okay. After getting it from him, I misplaced it again. It's been lost for 2 years. Guess what? I just found it again.
Where did you find it?
I was cleaning out my garage because we didn't have any work to do. So me and my nephew and I were cleaning out my garage. He found it in a box that we were about to throw away. So I got my Hope County high school championship ring. Hey, can you bring that down for me? Can you bring my ring down?
I hope you're going to put it in a case.
I got to get it.
Put it away somewhere.
Yeah. That thing
what in the world? Like, that was just meant to look. Clearly, God is like, what in the world? That's crazy.
It was, talk about that moment. It was special to see our fans, to bring that home, because we were helped by a lot of people, white and black people, that helped us, come along, because it wasn't. Even back then, that little $20 it cost a player for a uniform was kind of expensive for some of the parents. And we had people step up to get us gloves, get us equipment, feed us when we were traveling, and all that. Being able to win that state championship comes from, being led early. And when we were younger and our youth, by Mr. Artis Gay, that ran the Hoke County Parks and Rec. He was like our dad. So he instilled that winning attitude in us, and he made us focus and play ball, to develop into what we did. And it all started when we were 7, 9 years old, and those people getting behind us, making us understand we were talented and we had to work hard at it and we had to stay out of trouble. And it was so easy to get in trouble in those times coming up in Robin Heights and around Rayford.
Wow. So you talked about you and Moochie getting drafted. Did the state championship help put y'all in a better position to be drafted, or were people already looking at y'all before that?
Well, our 10th grade year, there were scouts starting to show up. But really what solidified it is being in that USA Today. We were putting up some crazy numbers. And like I tell parents today, they want to play travel ball this, they want to play showcase this, they want to go here, and all that stuff is good. And I recommend it, but you have to put up the numbers when you play. You can't just go play, and we talk to parents all the time about, they'll say to us, well, my son's been on a winning team the last 4 years. I said, well, what's your son's numbers on that winning team? Are you contributing to that winning for the last 3 or 4 years? So, we kept putting up crazy numbers year after year. And when we had some early scouts come through our 10th grade year, they couldn't talk to you then. And then the 11th grade year, they're just out of control. And then, of course, when we hit USA Today, when you have guys, you have 3 to 4 pitchers that throw 90 plus, you're going to have scouts, and the word travels. So that did help us, get drafted a little bit, because we put scouts down there. And we also had a scout in the conference that we played against and we did well against. And, we played, he was a tough team, but we were kind of lucky to have that scout working within our conference too as well.
Now, let's talk about the process of being drafted. I mean, you were 18 years old?
18 years old,
18 years old, and you were drafted Talk a little bit about that. Talk about the team you were drafted in. What number? Like, you know.
It wasn't a very high pick. I mean, I was projected to go fifth, and then I had a real bad game in Lee County. Couldn't get anyone out, and it kind of shot me down, like way down the list. 12th round, like 130th round, 12th pick or something like that. But at the time, I saw it as an out to get mom out of where we were, to get her a new house. Just that's all I want. One thing I wanted to do. But getting drafted, actually, we won the state championship, graduated, and got drafted within about 10 to 12 days. So It was a blur. It was very fast. And it was exciting to be drafted from Hope County. To get a street named after you, to be successful, to go out and to be successful, be able to perform at that level. It was real exciting. It was real gratifying, satisfying to be able to, because a lot of people can go out and they can't perform. They get past their level of talent and they can't handle it. I didn't have such thing happen. Only thing happened to me, I ended up having shoulder surgery because I tore it 3 times. It was torn, and it took 3. Actually, I need a 4th surgery right now, but I'm not going to bother with that. It took 3 surgeries to get me back, and it never did. But being able to work hard and achieve that childhood dream, man, was good. Was a good feeling.
Who were you drafted by?
The Reds. Mooch and I were drafted right behind each other by the Cincinnati Reds in 1990, 12th and 13th. And we went to Plant City, Florida, and we made $850 a month first year. And of course, people here in Rayford thought we were making $1 million a year. We made $850 a month every 2 weeks. We get paid $333, $383.03 every 2 weeks. I never forget it. 5 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. So you call it, it was an experience, and you get there and everybody's so much bigger than me. I'm like, man, I should have gone to college. I should have tried to go to college. Instead of doing. I just thought I wasn't going to be able to play because, coming in high school, it seemed like all the big people get to play, and that's how I had that mentality. But I ended up being one of the number 1 pitching prospects in the Reds organization right away. I earned the 2nd starting spot for the season. My first year in pro ball in the minor leagues, I was the starting pitcher. I won that spot and was real successful all the way up until I got hurt.
Now, I was gonna go over to that next thing. What was some challenges you faced during your sports journey? You talk about being hurt, and how did you overcome them?
Well, honestly, from 90 to 94, I had no problems pitching at that level. I didn't have any, and I look back at it and I think in 90 I got MVP. 91 I broke the record for most strikeouts, which still stands now in single A ball. 92 I flipped the car. We had a bad car accident, and which kind of sidelined me for a little while, but I still won 10 games. If you know anything, if you can win 10 games at any level, it's considered a pretty good thing to do. And I won 10 games. I lost 9. I had a 4 ERA. But had I not flipped that car and went on the DL, or you can't say DL anymore, injured list. You can't say disabled no more. You gotta say injured. Had I not flipped that car, maybe my year would have been better. 93, I ran into a little bit of problems in AAA, but I still made it to the MLB. So, the problem was the thing I had to overcome mainly was just kind of not being away from mom, not having that home cooked meal, you got to have discipline. You don't have mom telling you, it's just like going to college. You need to get in for curfew. You need to go, you need to do this. It was all on your own. And you had to be real responsible, because even though you are making $850 a month, there are people out there that think you're making a bunch of money and they're out to get you. So that was one thing off the field we had to overcome. On the field, just you had to understand there was everyone just as talented as you are. Okay. And you had to rise above or just roll with them and understand that if you, I wouldn't say it was a challenge. I was up for the challenge, put it that way. You had to realize that as soon as you messed up, they're going to move that next guy right in. But thank God I really didn't have any challenges as far as performance. Now, after the surgeries, the challenge was getting through the pain of the first surgery, trying to get back to where I was before I was hurt. And it seemed like, at 25 years old, your first surgery, you can't tell me I can't come back from this. No way. I work hard. I do everything they asked me to do. I live. I did everything. And then I ended up getting hurt after the MLB strike. So we did go on strike in 94, right in the middle of my best MLB season. So, that was, I would say the most challenging things I had to deal with was trying to come back from surgery without taking steroids. And I didn't take steroids. And I think, to get through that, and I was offered it many times, to get through that pain, to heal those surgery marks in there, the scarring and all the weakening of the muscles that you need to pitch. If I had to do it all over again, I may take a cycle, because there was no way I could throw like my normal self with the pain that I endured after the first surgery, second surgery, or third surgery. So it just cut me short because I didn't choose to do the steroids. I was a little scared about it, but sometimes I think to this day, maybe I would have done it again. Or maybe I would have done it. And it wasn't to gain the edge on someone. And that's why I say a lot of guys that take steroids now, it's not really they're taking it to cheat or to be better. You take a kid that started like me from 7 to 25 years old, all I did was compete in baseball. I was a competitor. So to tell me that my career is over now, it's hard to swallow. That was hard to swallow. So if I did take steroids, it was just to get back to doing what I was doing. Not any stronger or better, just to get back to pitching. So
interesting. I've never even really, and you see it. One of my favorite TV shows is Friday Night Lights. And you see like the injuries and people trying to take things, and I'm sure it's popular on TV, or at least it was like back in the 90s, 2000s, where the players or whoever they take, I won't say performance enhancing drugs, but things to get through injuries. And people never really talk about, they think that like athletes are superheroes, you know what I mean? Like they get hurt and they're able to pick it back up again, but we never really talk about the psychological things that they go through when they have to go through injuries, when they're used to performing at a certain level and they can't do that, and what it does to their confidence, what it does to their performance, and until they can get back to that point, or even if they don't get back to that point, which caused them to possibly in turn spiral out of control. Even when they're not even playing sports anymore, it plays into their confidence and things. So we don't really talk about that stuff enough. So I'm glad you were honest about that. And like, just even like you're saying, if you could go back, you may would have done stuff a little bit different. That's just interesting.
It was, I dealt with some mental stuff for a while, but I was able to get past it. I was super stressed, and, for your career, your career to be over that fast. And when I was on the top in 1993, I had a little bit of a bad season. I got sent down in 1994. I got sent down. If they have thing which called big league camp. So they send you down. I was on the first cut from the major leagues back to the minor leagues in spring training. So it's a domino effect. They cut guys in the big league camp. You go down to AAA guys go to AA go to single A go to rookie league guys go home. And I had an attitude about that. And somebody came out in 1994 when I got sent down that year, and they lit a fire under me. And because I, at the time, was a pitching prospect in the organization. They lit a fire under me, and I got rid of my attitude, and I ended up being 7. And you can look this up. I was 7-2 with a 2.1 ERA. That's good. 7 wins, 2 losses with a 2.1 2.14 in AAA. And then I went to the big leagues and I was 6-2 right away. And then we went on strike. And I was like, no, we can't go on strike now. My agent texted me, not texted me, he paged me. He said, you're going on strike. Prior to that, we had talked about getting in the house for mom because I had already shown a little bit of success up there. I can handle the big league pitching, big league hitters. And we went on strike in August. We came back in April. And as a matter of fact, that was the first time I experienced the cameras following me. John Roper, my brother has the article. I was slated the third starter in the Reds organization in the big leagues in 1995 after the strike. We have that article. So when I'm walking out, the cameras are right on me, following me. It cameras, microphones in my face. I was like, man, this is what it's like. I was enjoying that. And shortly after that is when I felt the small pinch in my shoulder, and it was never right after that. So I kept trying to throw. Then they shut me down. Then I tried to throw again. Then they shut me down. They said, you know what? Just wait till we get to Riverfront. So spring training is over, and I hadn't really pitched that much. And when I come into the locker room, my stuff is with the big league team that is going north. So the guys that made the 25-man roster, I made as the third starter. And everybody's congratulating me. Hey, congratulations, man. You made the team hurt as the third starter? I was like, I guess, I'm happy at this point, But we get to Riverfront, and then he was trying to pitch in front of a public workout and actually went ahead and did a complete tear of my rotator cuff. And had 2 more surgeries after that, one with the San Francisco Giants, 2 under the Reds' care, and I could never get back. And, I was presented with steroids a bunch of times, right there in my face, how to do it, when to do it, what you need to do it. And I just said, I'm gonna just do it the natural way. So, and it goes the same for a lot of athletes. I just don't think they do it to cheat. They do it just to compete. These guys that play these MLB, these professional sports, they're competitors. They've been doing it all their life. To get cut short like that hurts, and I just think that, that's just what it is. You do it to just try to stay. I wasn't going to do it to be better, to be stronger. I just wanted to get back to achieving my dream. That's all I wanted to do. And, it just didn't happen that way for me. And I went through some personal mental stuff that people never even knew about. I always felt like I was going to die. I felt like I was going to pass out sometimes, just thinking my career is over. It's over. I just started, but I was able to get through it myself. I just said, you know what? The good Lord got something else planned for you.
How did you get through it? Like what?
I just did. I just accepted it pretty much. Did I want to be in the big leagues for 20 some years, 30 years? Of course I did. But I only ended up with a 3-year MLB career, a little less than that, as a matter of fact. I mean, I just got past it. I still was able to, do some things because I did play. The city was very nice to me. I was still doing functions, still making appearances and stuff like that, and things like that. So I just got through it on my own, really. Do I have a little queasy feeling in my stomach once a month or every couple of months or something about I wish this? Yeah, I do. But it ain't to the point.
Even now?
Oh yeah, but it ain't nothing. Wow. I just miss competing at that level. To hear 40,000 people boo you, and then to hear 40,000 people cheer you. it was just, I'm a competitor now. Even when I golf, when I bowl, when I play in the 30 and over men's league, when I'm, coaching with my kids, I challenge them. I'm a competitor. I don't like to lose. I beat my daughter playing pool. I beat her bad, so I'm a competitor. I just think, it was heart-wrenching, and not to be able to put my brother where, set my brother off, to set my mom off, those things that had to take a back seat. And, I just got past it on my own mental fortitude. I didn't have to go to any counseling or nothing like that. um, it was just, it was sad, but I said, you know what? Now I learned so much though that I'm able to pass on my knowledge to these kids around here,
Mm-hmm.
teaching pitching. I know a hell of a lot about pitching, and I enjoy coaching. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy working with kids, no matter their talent level. People flock to me for pitching lessons. So I'm still benefiting from my MLB background, even though it was 30 years ago. Um, so, I'm happy where I am right now. I'm happy in my own skin, if you will. Um, I enjoy watching the game. I enjoy going to the Woodpeckers. I enjoy watching baseball on TV, although I won't watch an entire game, but I never did that even when I was healthy. Um, and but here I am. I'm a teacher of the sport. Mentor.
Now, you touched on like the way you got through your own mental health. Are you surprised about the way the topic of mental health has shown up now, presently? And do you wish that it was talked about more back then?
Um, for like, I think, see, a lot of these athletes are pushed. And see, if I knew then what I know now, I would have told them I couldn't pitch. I'm hurt. And see, and going back to that steroid era, these guys sometimes are rushed back because in the end, it's all about that dollar, And I encourage athletes right now, if you're hurt, don't play, because they will rush you back. And you wonder why people take steroids. You wonder why these guys are getting rushed back. And then ESPN and everywhere else start saying things like, you imagine a 25-year-old hearing that he's injury prone. You hear these things on TV. Mm-hmm. He's injury prone. The team can't depend on him. He's always hurt. Well, shit, he's in the NFL. That's a violent sport. So these kids are 22, 24 years old. They don't want to be out of the game. And if they have a little sprain or something and they get rushed back, now their career is over. Because if they would have waited an extra 2 weeks, extra 3 weeks, because when you're hurt, the game doesn't give a crap about you. You're done. So had I just told my agent at that time, when I got called to pitch against the Atlanta Braves, I should have said no. The day I left the Cincinnati Reds clubhouse before I got traded to the San Francisco Giants, after that game, I should have told them I was hurt, because I should have never been pitching against the Braves. I just went to rehab in AA, AAA. So I think, mental health should be really looked at, because and the better you are, the more pressure you're put under to win. And you got to you don't have to deal with your opponent. Now you got to deal with all your fans. Your family should be there. Your family's really, at that time, your only safe space, your family, because they don't care if you win or lose, but you get caught up in what your fans think. So I think really, really, they need to focus on mental health, and it should have been focused on a little bit more back then. Of guys that get taken out of the game, I think you should watch those guys, because again, you take somebody that started from the ages of 7. These kids get up there at 28 when they're really starting to make a thing for themselves, make a name for themselves. I get to buy mom a car. I get to get a new house. I'm out of this now. Life is looking good, and boom, your career is over. That's a hard mental break to take. And I think I'm glad that they're doing that now, watching these guys, watching these girls that are performing at these high levels, and even being successful, because now you feel like you have to be successful. You have to. And that's taxing, to go out and to compete against people of your talent level and to be successful night in and night out. That's why you see on the news, Nike and some of those other big corporations are giving their employees a week off. Because if you're an executive or you're a high producer somewhere, your superiors are going to continue to look at you to high produce. So mentally, you don't have a break. At night, you don't shut that off. And that's where the mental breakdown comes. Even when at a top pitching prospect, But I think when you're 18 and 17 and 18 and you're doing that, it's all fun, even though you're at the pro level. But then you start to mature and you start to think more. And it's like, 17, 18, competing at the pro level. I'm doing good, 19, 20, 21. Now you become 25. Now it becomes more of a business and it's serious. So now your mind is not that playful kid anymore. And that's where I think that mental breakdown starts to happen. And the minute one year you're hitting 30 home runs, batting 295, 100 RBIs, the next year you're 195, you can't hit, and just things start to go, and then your mind starts to go with it. So it's definitely a good thing that they're starting to pay attention to this mental health and don't down these athletes when they need a break. They need a break because you don't sleep. Even I recall back then being the top pitching prospect in Baseball America, top pitching prospect for the Cincinnati Reds, hokecounty's finest in the USA Today every day, striking out 100 people, striking out 20 people, interviews everywhere. Late it started to like, okay, everywhere I went, I come out of my hotel, you get a swarm. You come out of the clubhouse, there's a swarm. Everywhere you go downtown, you're just trying to chill with your lady and your child, there's a swarm. And it starts to play a little bit on you. So I think it's definitely a good thing that they're focusing on this mental health for these athletes.
Now you talk about, you coaching, and I'm assuming that's what you transition into after you stop playing ball, but you decided to put that energy somewhere else. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now.
Well, I do pitching lessons at Derek Graham Place Athletes Choice Batting Center. He runs Area Stars program. We deal with about Area Stars travel ball program. We deal with about 400 kids weekly, and we put those kids against other competitive kids around the state, South Carolina, Virginia, Florida, Georgia. We just move around a little bit. And what we try to do is we take kids in of all talent levels and try to train them to get to the highest level possible. And I enjoy coaching. I enjoy seeing the success of these kids. Some kids come in, and I'm guilty of it. I've seen parents bring kids in for me pitching, and I'm thinking they're wasting their money. And not even a month later, this kid is progressing like you wouldn't believe. So I enjoy seeing that. I enjoy coaching. I enjoy the competitiveness. I've enjoyed the thinking process of it, the strategy of coaching and things like that. And more than that, teaching these kids how to think when they're out there, the decision making, the problem solving when it comes to certain plays and certain things and certain situations that they have to kind of slow the game down a little bit and think about what's going on. So I enjoy coaching, man. Teaching pitching, all clean power washing and outdoor service, that's my job. But teaching pitching and teaching baseball and coaching, Moochie, when I was up in New Hampshire, when my mom was sick, he was like, man, if you move home, I got all the pitching lessons you need. And I have people in New Hampshire telling me, pitching lessons, I got pitching lessons, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can that. But my best friend, my brother, called me up to New Hampshire, said, you think about moving home? I got all the kids you need. And as soon as I got here, Moochie hit me up with over 60 pitching lessons. Right now, because of him, it started out with him, but I have over 120 people in my pitching lesson database that I do pitching lesson. Probably do about 10 or 15 of them every single week, pitching lessons during the busy season. So, thanks to him, man, for opening an opportunity for me, bringing me down here and trusting me with his business, his livelihood. And then, so that's important. When you got your best friend, or anyone that can trust you with their livelihood, with what puts his money, his food on the table, pays his bills. Mm-hmm. He trusted me and pretty much let me run my own program within his facility. So I appreciate that from him.
So as a coach, you've gone through a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. You've learned a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for other coaches to help them be more aware of what their players are dealing with, and how to use what they've experienced to help their players.
Well, I think some of the best advice I ever had, I was a very talented player from the time I was, able to throw the baseball from 10 until I had surgery. Very talented player. And I think some coaches got to realize that, and a lot of coaches that coach were successful. You got to realize that kid is not you. You got to let these kids go. And I think that movie, Ted Lasso, I haven't seen it yet. I was just told about it. And I thought that was a good thing, that when we were talking about on the golf course, how he finds what each individual kid can do the best and try to put them in that spot with that talent to succeed. And I think that's a good thing. And I think we have to, now we're very critical. And at baseball, when you get to the 15U level, from ages 7 to 13, it's all fun and games. You get to 14, you get to high school, depending on what your goals are. If you just want to play baseball and have fun, then okay, go do that. But don't come to a travel ball program, because it gets real serious when you coach with John Rope and Derek Graham. We let parents know. We have evaluation meetings, and we have meetings where we tell you, you are not a shortstop. You are not an outfielder, or you have to do this to be a shortstop. And I think you have to be truthful in a constructive way. But you cannot, I don't care how bad your shortstop is, how bad your catcher is, you can never say that you will never be a shortstop. And I've had to fire coaches up north for telling kids that there'll never be something. I don't want that ever to come out of any of my coaches' mouth. And Coach Graham, Moochie would not allow us to, if even though I'm his best friend, if a parent went to him and said, Coach Roper said my son will never be this, Moochie probably kicked me out of there. Because we're into encouraging and giving confidence, making these kids be confident. Will I say you're not a shortstop? But I will follow it up this year on my team today, September 8th. You are not a shortstop. But next year, you might be the best shortstop in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And you can go work at it. I'm just telling you. So I just like to kind of be confident in my teaching. I'm very harsh. I'm very upfront. Parents come to me because I don't sugarcoat nothing. I don't sugarcoat anything. If you tell me I'm trying to get to the highest level possible, then you're going to have to come up with a business plan for that. Because once you get to high school, it's a business plan. Mm. It's that high school has a business plan. That business plan is for that baseball team, that football team, that basketball team is to win. That brings money. Winning brings money. So if your business plan is not in line with that coach's or that program business plan, then you're going to be fired. You are a business plan when you get to high school, college. Look at this. Look at Dabo Swinney and Alabama and all those big time coaches. Them boys making $1.89, $2-3 million a year. They bring people into their program that's going to represent them in a positive light, and they bring people into that program with a solid business plan. No ifs and ands or buts about it. When I work with Moochie, I have to have a business plan. I can't be late for lessons because it reflects on him. That's his money. I have a business plan. So I tell my kids, as simple as this. I've had to speak to the Fayetteville State varsity, freshman football and varsity through Zoom when COVID was hot. And I said, you guys got to just have a business plan. Put your business plan together. And one of them asked me, what's the business plan? You got to work hard. You got to listen. You got to come early. You got to stay late. You got to be willing to make that sacrifice. Mm-hmm. That's a good business plan. And look, it's not guaranteeing you success. You're going to be Mr. Football America, Mr. Baseball America, Miss Soccer America. It's just that you're going to have a good business plan that if you do succeed, you succeed. But if you do fail, you have learned so much that's going to take you to your next venture in life. So, and I think me working hard through pro ball, me working hard, trying to get myself back in, trying to get into the major leagues, being that 1% or 2%, that hard work carries over into my everyday life right now. Power washing. I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of stuff with military families, not home. I could easily just go there and just leave and collect money. I make sure my employees do everything 100%. But nobody's here. I don't give a damn. You are going to do it as if they were watching you. So that's how I live like that. Washing cars. Former MLB players got a business washing cars. My first year out of pro ball, I made $75,000 with a power washing business from April to December back in 1997. And that was because when a lot of guys that worked with me couldn't stand how on time I was, how I wanted everything perfect. I learned that through my years of pro ball. How, because the coaches and the managers don't watch you work out. It'll show if you're not working out. So a lot of guys couldn't handle how I ran my business, how I went about business. So only few stuck around. And I ended up finding 3 good guys that was like-minded, that had a good business plan. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I am.
Now you talk about having a business plan, and it's like I'm happy that you talked about that, because in my line of business, and I'm an attorney and I practice sports and entertainment law, and whenever I see these kids, I think of them, I know that, they may have aspirations, but I see them as a business. I see things as a business, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you desire to do this, you need to think of yourself as a business. And, now starting in July, these college athletes are able to make money off their name, image, and likeness, which they were not able to do before. So them thinking of themselves as a business, they could have done that, like more of, image, importance when they were in college, but now they're for real having the opportunity to be a business. So what do you think about that? Them having this opportunity now, because now it's even more real, which means that, if now they're really having to think about the education, the molding of the mind, the maturity a lot earlier on, because a lot of times I think people think that kids mature in college, playing and stuff. And if they want to transition to be in the pros, then they can do that. But now having the opportunity a lot younger, what do you think about that? If you were, if you could go back, would you have gone to college knowing or having the potential opportunity to make money off your name, image, and likeness?
I don't know if I would. I was already set to play pro ball. I knew that's what I wanted to do. But I'm glad that they decided to do that, because, some of our college athletes get in so much trouble. Now, I'm not saying that the money will allow them to get in more trouble, but I think it's a good thing, because now the most important thing, now you learn to manage it already before you get to pro ball. You learn to manage. That's the important thing to me, I think. I mean, besides, these colleges are bringing in crazy amounts of money. These coaches are benefiting from the success of these guys. These coaches are making, like $1.5 million, $3 and $4 million contracts over 6 years to coach college kids. Why not give them a little piece of the pie? But I think it's earned. I think you got to get out there and bust your butt. You're just not going to give it to you, because you can't expect once you get there. You see, the thing about these high level sports, it's easy to get there, but it's almost harder to stay, and harder. I know they told me that when you get to the big leagues, it's easier to get there than it is to stay there, because you can get complacent. You get, like, call it big league artists. You get there and you just think, I'm here now. Oh yeah, well, you got to face Barry Bonds tonight, so it ain't over. It's not over. So I think that's a good thing that they're deciding to, give these college athletes, because they're throwing their lives, they're throwing their careers on the line. College football is violent. They may not be as strong as the NFL players, but they're strong enough. And these guys are getting out here. Some of them, a lot of football players have injuries that last throughout their life. Why not get paid? Why not get paid? Why not get paid? You going out there, you busting your butt for that coach day in and day out, hitting somebody hard, taking hits, and there's no guarantee that you're going to play tomorrow or the next day, or you're going to play in the NFL. See that, I don't know what the numbers are. I meant to look that up, but it's a very low. I know when back in the 90s, only 1% of athletes made it to pros, and I don't think it's changed much since then. And that was for baseball. I'm not sure for football and the NBA, but why not get paid? You're performing. You're out there doing. Why not get paid for it? That way you cut down all this. Hey, besides, they're gonna do it anyway. It's a slap on the wrist for a college to give a kid something they find out 10 years down the road. I guarantee you, going on right now, there's some colleges recruiting some kids saying, hey, yo, go look under the couch. We got you, to get them to come play for them. If you don't do that, that's going to continue anyway. And what happened? These kids, they get slapped on the wrist and they get a little fine, $100,000 to $300,000 fine for giving, Trey Smith $100,000 plus buying his uncle a car, something like that. They're going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. Let them get paid. I think you should limit it, but this gives them an opportunity to learn how to budget and manage money too as well, and it's definitely not going to be anything that equivalent to an NFL pay, but at that level, you still can budget at that level. Now you have some skills going into the NFL on how to budget instead of all of a sudden getting it thrown at you. So I think it's a good thing. Those kids are out there playing, and those schools are making crazy amounts of money. They should.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it also opens the opportunity for more of education, because they're not going to be able to manage their stuff on their own, and they're still kids. And that's my biggest concern. Like, they're still kids. I mean, think about how responsible you were when you were 18 or 19 years old. You know what I mean? They definitely need guidance, and they definitely need people behind them to help, educate them. But it does provide them opportunities that they wouldn't be able to have at that level. So I'm personally happy about it. But and honestly, it's a right that anybody walking around would be able to have. If somebody wants to put your picture up somewhere and sell it, you got to pay them for it. So it's just like, it's the same thing. It's the same rights that normal people would be able to have. So that's also the reason why I think it should be available to them, because it just doesn't make sense of why it should not. But so go ahead.
No, some of these guys come from low income areas, man. They need, and it's an opportunity to help mom. Some of them have children, and it's just an opportunity for them to get their stuff right. And if they have the correct business plan, then it'll work out for them. I think if you're successful, if you're not successful, you will be successful if you're trying to be successful. What I mean is, if you work hard to try to be successful and you're not successful at what you're trying at, but you're still going to be successful because you're going to learn things along the way. And you're talking about, if someone is trying to be successful and they fail at whatever is trying to run a business, and they do all the things, sometimes you can do all the things right and your business fail, but you're still successful because you learned so much. Now, boom, let's do it again and look back at those mistakes and say, hey, don't do that. So if you just don't want to be successful, you just think it's going through the motions, then you are unsuccessful. If you just go through the motions. And I'm gonna have to say on myself with this sporttrials.com, I have been going through the motions because, like you said earlier, I've been focusing on what is bringing in the income. My cleaning business, my pitching lesson. So this has kind of been put on the side, and I come home late at night, maybe jump on the computer, do a little post on Instagram or Twitter, and now you even inspire me today to just get this thing going because there's a need. So, so here we go. But I think it's a good thing. These guys get a little change for their likeness and going out there, throwing their health on the line every day or every week.
Now, what are 3 characteristics, in your opinion, that make an athlete great?
It's willing to work hard and being able to listen and just being dedicated to the process. I think just being dedicated to the process, working hard, and listen. I think the young athletes got to listen more than anything. Listen, listen, listen. When you get to that next level, it's always just be a sponge. Dedicate yourself to the process, not the results, the process. Listen, dedicate yourself to the process. Listen, and just be a sponge, man. I work hard, just hard work. Get out there and be confident. And that's a whole bunch of characteristics, man. Confidence, hard work, the same old stuff you hear, but it's true though. That these cliches, you hear them all the time. Hard work, dedication, and things like that. But it's so true. You can't bark that enough to young athletes, and let them know that it's not going to be given to them. There's somebody behind you waiting for you to fail, or waiting for you to slow the roll a little bit, wait for you to start going through the motions so they can just jump ahead of you, walk over you and get to the front of the line. So, hard work, dedicate yourself, and just listen, be a sponge.
What does it mean to you to be an athlete from Hope County?
Oh, I love Hope County. I love myself some Rayford. I was so glad to move back home. We got to pick up the pace a little bit though, but I love Rayford. Being able to put us on the map like that, even back then in 90, 91, or all the guys joking about Rayford and Hope County, and to go somewhere and hear somebody talk about Rayford and Hope County. Even now, when we got guys that come to the baseball center from other counties and other states, and they're big in baseball, and they was like, I remember, hearing about Rayford, and things like that. But just being a proud resident, being able to how do you say, people that help me out, to make them proud, going on about my business, taking the opportunities that people help my mom out, giving me money, maybe buying me a glove, carrying me back, bringing me back and forth to practice. Coach Critcher, Coach Brigham, a whole bunch of people, Clayton Singletary, David Purcell, all my coaches. There's a whole bunch of people, man, that it made me feel proud that that they influenced me along the way to help me achieve a childhood dream, and everybody there's a lot of people in Hope County, man, that if I had to think, I don't know if I could do it. I could do all of them, but I'm proud to be from here and be successful in my own right. By no means I'm Mr. Superstar of this, but I like, it meant a lot to me to come out of here and represent us.
So what is your best sports moment or memory?
Best, well,
And I don't want to be like, assume I know what it is.
well,
But
I guess the best sports memory was getting getting the call to the MLB. Getting the call to the MLB. Like, I think, again, I was just having fun. From the time I left high school, I was 18 when I got drafted. I was in the big leagues at 21. Within 3 years, my fourth year, I was in the big leagues. My third season, my fourth year, and to get that call after having a rough season, had a little bit of a rough patch. At the time, I got the call, and I went up there and I won my first 2 games in the big league. So, just to achieve that dream, I guess that's the biggest moment. Wanting the dream and putting in work to achieve it. I think sometimes they ask these athletes, how do you feel about winning the Super Bowl or winning MVP? And I think they should say, like, I put in this work. That's what I expect. You didn't hand it to me. Nobody gave it to me. I put in the work day in and day out to achieve this. And I'm happy to have this success and this outcome because I actually put in the work to do it. Or I actually put in the work to be as successful as I can be. I didn't think MVP I would get that MVP or whatever it is that time. Even in rookie league, when I got the MVP of the Reds, rookie league, I was just out there doing the best I could do. And it ended up leading me to a trip to Riverfront with my mom and my family watching me receive an MVP trophy on Riverfront Stadium. So, those are the big achievements for me, man. Just being able to get out there and bust your butt and achieve that goal.
And I would say like that, and it makes sense. Like you get to see the fruits of your labor. So especially if it's a big dream of yours, so that memory definitely makes sense. So my last question is going to be, what is one piece of advice you would give to a young athlete in Hoke County or from Hoke County?
Number one, get your grades. Keep the grades going. Keep that your number one thing. And I have a shirt. I have a shirt called "Get It Done." I have a T-shirt company called "Get It Done." I have all kinds of stuff going on. And "Get It Done" pretty much stands for get it done at home, school, and sports. And to sum that up, it just means when you go home, there's things you need to get done. There's things you need to do. You got homework, you got chores, you got things to do around the house. And I think as you start doing these little tiny things that you may not think are important, they start to build you. Because if you can't get it done at home, and if you have chores and you have homework and there's things you need to do to help your family out, you can't get it done at home, that not getting it done carries over into school. And you definitely can't get it done on the field. So those three things tie in together. So I just want, the athletes here in Hoke County, just get it done at home, at school, and in sports. And you can't put it any simpler than that. And see, as you see, I'm not a guy that's going to use these big words and all these percentages. I'm just try to be real as I can. Look, I ain't never claimed to be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I sure ain't the dumbest. But I just think, you have to be straightforward to these kids today. Even when you teach pitching, there's pinch the scapula, sub this, sub that. And you're talking to a 10-year-old, you're like, huh? Well, actually, a 10-year-old, they might know what those words are. I just try to simplify my teaching. And I think when you talk to these kids today, you just keep it simple. Hey, man, do what you are supposed to do with your parents, in your classroom, in your sports. And it's true. This is 100% fact. If you're having trouble at home, sometimes most of the time there's trouble in the school, in the classroom. Guess what? You can't have fun in sports, because if you got trouble here, then the grades are bad. When you're playing, you're supposed to be out there playing a game. Baseball, football, soccer, lacrosse, it's a game. Have fun. How do you have fun and compete? You get those other two things, the home and the schooling, in order. Because you don't want to be pitching or playing thinking, man, hope I passed that grade. Hope I passed that test, or I hope they don't find out what I did last night. You can't perform that way.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, have the correct business plan.
Circles right on back, right?
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you, Kit. Oh, no, wait. No, we're not done. How did you get the nickname Kit?
Oh, well, my mom said when I was born, her second oldest sister, Annie Mae, looked at me and said, we're going to call him Kit.
That's it?
That's it. Annie Mae. That's it. We're going to call him Kit. And from that moment on, I was named Kit. K-I-T.
Okay.
And so,
well, I appreciate you taking the time for this interview. How can people keep in contact with you and find you? You talk about sports tryout. You talk about your power washing business, your pitching camps, your pitching lessons. How can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. I do have a website called johnroperpitchingschool.com. You can check that. Just check that. It hasn't been updated just yet, but I've been so busy. But you can check John Roper Pitching School. Of course, my website here, I'm at the lean out. We couldn't pick this way. Sporttryouts.com, where you can find camps, clinics, tryouts, tournaments, and things like that. Always something on there for kids to do. Parents is absolutely free. Coaches is free to list an event. No matter where you are in the country, you can list an event for absolutely free. We're going to try to, uh, once we get this thing rolling, give back to the community, give back to teams and programs. It's always kids out there that need help with equipment, fees, clothing, travel expenses. Sports are just getting more and more expensive. And now that COVID is among us, now these programs are having to add extra fees because the cleaning process is a little different now. So sporttrials.com is going to try to do its part in giving back, helping parents out. And every kid that has talent doesn't mean they have the economic background, economics to pay all the fees associated with playing. So we're going to try to do our part and help out wherever we can in that aspect of sports. So, check my site out, sporttrials.com, one word, you see it right there, which way I'm trying to lean. You see it right there, sporttrials.com. Just go on, click on any sport, the sport you're looking for, and hopefully we have an app soon.
Hopefully.
So it'd be a lot simpler for you to go, just click up the app and go surfing. All right.
Again, I appreciate you. If you want to keep in contact, or if you want to subscribe to the Next One Up podcast, we are available all over Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that there's somewhere to find the podcast, you can find us, and follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and we will see you later.